Hi everyone, welcome back to Stamp with Anna, and today I have the third and final card that we made at stamp class this past weekend. The theme of the cards was Gatefolds, and the products that we used were the ice cream corner suite that is in the new January to June catalog, and this is the suite itself. It has a stamp set. And here you can see the image is bigger. They are distinctive stamp sets, so they do have a little bit of shading in them. There is a coordinating punch, which punches out the ice cream and the cone. Then there's this fabulous bright paper. There's this Blackberry Bliss or organza kind of striped. It's really so pretty. It's sheer. It's gorgeous. And then there are these little sprinkles that we've used in a couple different ways. So, and the paper that is in the suite is just a great paper. Let me just show you a couple pieces of it while I have it out. Obviously, you have ice cream images. Here are some popsicles. Here are some soft serve, and here are some cones. And then the back sides of these have, this would be nice for the waffle cone, sprinkles, stripes. And then you have these splotches of all the different colors that are in the palette. It's a great little set there. So this is the card we're going to make, and this is called a floating gatefold. And it floats because when you open it up, these two little pieces look like they're floating. And I'm going to see if I can show it to you, show you the mechanism this way, so you can see right here how it's dimensional. It's very dimensional. So let's get started. This is actually looks like it's a lot more complicated than it is. So I'm going to show you just how easy it is. The first thing we're going to do is bring in a piece of thick Whisper White. And of course, Whisper White has been discontinued, and it has been replaced with thick Basic White. So if you have thick Basic White, that's what you'll be using. So this piece here is 5.5 by 8.5, so it is 1/2 of a piece of cardstock. So you will be able to make 2 cards from one piece of cardstock. So the first thing we're going to do is make our gatefold. So coming in with the 8.5 side of the paper along the top, we're going to come in on either side at 2 1/8, and we're going to score. After I've scored this side, I'm going to pop my paper out, turn it around, and bring it in, and again at 2 1/8. And that ensures that both of my panels are indeed the same size. And then I'm going to take these and bring them to center where they will meet and give them a nice crease. And that is our gatefold. The next thing we need is our panels, our pretty panels here. And those are made with Bermuda Bay cardstock as the matte piece, and that great little sprinkle paper as the front piece. The Bermuda Bay is cut at 2 by 5 3/8, and the sprinkle paper is cut at 1 7/8 by 5 1/4. So because the border is so skinny, I'm going to use some liquid glue to apply these to the panel so that I have a little bit of wiggle room when I place them. So here is my sprinkle paper. I'm going to apply that right there, and I'm just going to be able to move it around a little bit so that I do get a nice even border. There's 1, and there is 2. Okay, and now we're going to attach those onto our card. And again, liquid glue, because this will give me a little bit of freedom if I don't get it down exactly centered. And when I do this, I find that if I open my panel up, I have a better idea of where I'm placing it. I'm going to place it down. Oops, I'm going to place it down. Make sure I have an even white border all along. That's great. And now I'm going to do the same with this side. And make sure it's even all along. And I do want the two of them to be the same on top and bottom. Okay, so there we go. Front of our card is already made. Now we're going to do the mechanism that makes it float. And for that, since we have two pieces of white. This is not thick, this is just regular. And these are cut at 1 by 5 1/4. You could cut them 3/4 by 5 1/4. It doesn't really matter because you're not going to see that. But what you're going to do is you're going to score them. And the scoring is quite simple. You're going to score at 1, at 2, and at 4 1/4. And we're going to do the same for the second piece. 1, 2, and 4 1/4. Now here we have our pieces. And we're just going to fold them along those crease marks. 1, 2, 3. Okay? Now we have to attach them to our card. Now you notice you have 1 square here on the left side and 2 squares on the right side. We're only going to work with this one right here. Okay? And I'm applying a little bit of adhesive just on that 1 square right there. Okay? Now I'm going to bend this back, and I'm going to come down about 1 inch from the top, and I'm going to butt this up here so it's right in my crease. I'm going to bring my panel over and press. And there we have the first part of our flap. Now we have a rectangular piece, 1 square, and another square. We only want adhesive on this square, this very last square. So I'm going to do that again. I'm going to fold this back and place it down. And when I fold this over, this should close beautifully. If it doesn't, if you find you have a little bubble, not a problem. Just take your bone folder and make it nice and flat. This is going to be hidden, so it really doesn't matter. Now we need to do the same thing for the bottom part here. I found it was easier if I twisted my card around and just repeated the process up here rather than try to figure it out for down there. So again, here is my mechanism. I have little square, rectangle, square, square. I only want adhesive on that first square. I'm having an issue here today. Okay, and again, coming down about 1 inch, I'm going to take this, put it right in that crease, and fold it over. Now I have rectangle, square, square. I only want adhesive on this last square. Okay, there we go. And I'm going to bend this one back, lay everything flat, and when I fold it over, it should be nice and smooth. And if it isn't, I'm just going to take my bone folder and make it nice and smooth. And there we have our floating mechanisms. How simple was that to do? Now all we have to do is decorate. And I've already done my die cutting because this was part of a kit that I used in a class that I had yesterday. So what I've done for the inside, using Bermuda Bay, I have die cut 2 square scallops, and I got those from the Layering Squares bundle. And here they are, all the scalloped ones, and you also get some straight ones. We're going to use those as well. So I have 2 scallop squares and 2 straight squares. I'm going to attach one of these to each one of those. So a little bit of snail. And a little bit of snail. Nice and centered. And these are now going to go on my floating mechanisms. So when you open your card flat, here you have a rectangular and a square. You only want to put adhesive on this rectangle. So I'm going to come in with my stamp and seal. Okay. And I'm going to take one of these. I want this left edge right up against this panel. And then I'm going to place it down. Okay, so there it goes. Same thing for this bottom one. I only want adhesive on the rectangle. So I'm going to do that. And this time I want this scalloped edge to be along the right panel. The only thing you need to be aware of is you want to make sure that these two do not overlap. So you have to have enough space in between them. So there we go. And when I close them, see, I have that space in between, so they do not interfere with each other. Okay, now we're going to do the front panel. And here I have Bermuda Bay, and this was cut using the So Sweetly framelits here. So now I only want this to be on the left panel here, okay? So I'm only going to put adhesive on the left side. Put that right there. I want to make sure, see, now I did get a little adhesive here. I'm going to make sure that I remove that with my adhesive eraser. Otherwise, my card won't open and close correctly. Okay, so there it is. And then I just cut a little piece of Whisper White that fits within that stitching. Let me see, it is 3 1/4 by 2. 3 1/4 by 2. Okay, so that's going to go right there. But before I put it on, I'm going to move this over just a tad. Before I put it on, I want to do my stamping on it. And what I've done, using the stamp set from this suite, I inked up the Happy Birthday sentiment in Bermuda Bay, and it is photopolymer stamp set, so I am bringing in my Pierce map. So I'm going to ink this up nicely, and I'm going to stamp it towards the top because I do want to leave room for my ice cream. I want to leave room for ice cream. Don't we always say that at the end of a meal? And there's Happy Birthday. Now I can take that and attach it to this right here. Turn that over. A little bit of stamp and seal. And I'm going to fit that right in there. Perfect. Now I have to decorate it. I have to put all my ice cream cones in there. Now, when we made this card in class, because I'm doing a virtual class and making up a kit, I cannot send the ladies stamped images. That is against Stampin' Up's copyright policy. So we had to improvise. We could not use any of these stamped images. So I just punched out my images. And I did some of them off camera to save some time, and 2 of them I did. One of them I'll do with you so you can see what I've done. So for the inside, I'm going to put 1 ice cream cone on either end. So I'm going to use the pistachio ice cream as Old Olive. That's my favorite ice cream. So here's my Old Olive. And to give it some dimension, I'm just going to sponge with a dauber all along the edges of it. And that's going to make it stand out a little bit. Now, as far as the cone goes, I want that to have dimension too. So what I'm going to do with my cone is I punched it out in crumb cake, and here it is, a little triangle. I'm going to take a ruler and my bone folder, and I'm just going to make little horizontal lines. Whoops. And then I'm going to come back the other way, so I make it look like a waffle cone. There's no rhyme or reason. A waffle cone isn't perfectly symmetrical. So now we have that. I'm going to bring in a piece of scrap paper, and I want to bring out the dimension in those lines. So with a sponge dauber, I'm going to ink that up in my crumb cake, and I'm just going to sponge that over my cone. And again, I'm going to highlight the outside edges of it. And I'm going to bring this right up to the camera so that you can see the effect. Where is that? There it is right there. I hope you can see that. It kind of gives it a little look of a waffle cone and some texture. So now I'm going to put these together. And because there's ink on these, I am going to use liquid glue rather than an adhesive. Just want to make sure that it stays nice and secure. So with my liquid glue, I'm just going to run a bead along the top of all of my cones. And then my So Saffron is my vanilla. Flirty Flamingo is my strawberry. And like I said, Old Olive is my pistachio. So now my ice creams are all made. And first I'm going to put the two on the inside. In here, I'm going to turn them over. And I'm going to use a little bit of Stampin' Seal. And I'm going to have this one facing the cone in the bottom right corner. And then I'm going to take my pistachio, my Old Olive, give it some good adhesive, and I'm going to make this cone in the bottom right corner. That way they're going towards the same. I don't want them going opposite directions. I want them going the same direction. And lastly, I'm going to, excuse me, apply some adhesive on the back of my vanilla, but I'm only going to do the top. And I didn't put any on the bottom half here, and I think that's still good and secure. But if you want to have some more adhesive, just continue to put it down towards on the left side of that. But I'm not going to. I'm just going to keep it right there. And I'm going to place it right there. And the last thing I'm going to do is I took a little, not really the last thing, I have my little knot made out of that ribbon that's in the suite. And with a glue dot, I'm going to attach that to the front of my card on my cone and drop that down. Now I do want to stamp something on the inside, and as you can see, I was able to use this Treat Yourself because that what did I use here? I used that is small enough that it'll fit in there. Now let me show you a card that I made last week using the same mechanism. And here is where I stamped. This stamp was just a little too large to put on this side, but because the Y on birthday is over to the right, I can still use that because it doesn't bump into this. So before you stamp, you pick your stamp, make sure you check out if it's going to fit. So now I want to stamp on the inside of my card, and I'm going to use the sentiment that says Treat Yourself, and I'm going to ink that up in Bermuda Bay. I could have used one of the other colors. I think in my sample I used the Rich Razzleberry. And it fits perfectly right here. And again, I brought in my Pierce mat. Straight down, straight up. Now, We didn't do this in class yesterday, but I just had an idea. And I always tell the ladies I feel badly because sometimes when I make my videos of the cards that we made in class, they end up looking different because I have other thoughts. I'm going to put a little splotch of liquid adhesive, liquid glue right there. And I'm going to bring in the little sprinkles, excuse me. I'm going to bring in the little sprinkles that come with this set. And I'm going to put them on my ice cream. So here I have a little purple posy one. I'm going to, because they are foam, I'm going to poke it with my pierce tool and drop it in my glue and just place that right on my ice cream cone. And if the glue is visible, don't worry, when it dries, it's going to dry clear. So I'm going to take a little red one, plop that there, and I'll take a yellow one, put him over there, and I think maybe I'll take another red one for the top. Oh, lost him. Right there. And I'm going to do the same thing for the ice cream on the inside. I'm going to pick up my foam sprinkle with some glue, with my piercer, drop it in the glue, and just, whoops, place them randomly. Oh, I got two blues there. Let me get another red one. And what color am I missing? Purple. Put a purple one right there. And the last one up here, I'm going to put a little red one. Purple. Another purple. Yellow. And oh, whoops, he's getting away from me. A yellow, and finally a blue. And now my ice cream cones have little sprinkles on them, so they're a little more dressy. And there we go. Now, one that I made last week, using a different stamp set, I did put a closure on that. And let me see if I still have them. Here they are. I found these little, oh, no, wrong ones. I found these little 3/8-inch Velcro circles on Amazon. And they're self-adhesive, so I like them. I'm going to put the smooth side of one right here, and then I'm going to take the coarse side. They work just like regular Velcro, and I'm going to put that on top of that, and when I fold this over, I'm going to press, and now the card has a little closure on it, so it doesn't pop open. You don't have to have that, but I thought it would make it easier if I'm especially if I'm mailing it. So there we go, a floating gatefold card using the sweet ice cream corner suite from the January to June catalog. Here's one with sprinkles, and here's one without sprinkles. If you have any questions about this project or any of the products that I use, certainly contact me through my blog, www.stampwithAnna.blogspot.com. And if you do not have a demonstrator with whom you work and would like a copy of this catalog, certainly reach out to me and I'll be glad to put one in the mail to you. And while you're here on my YouTube channel, I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel, and if you did enjoy this video, if you would give me a thumbs up. Thanks so much, and I look forward to seeing you back here again with another project soon. Bye-bye.